Hey guys, so I just got back from my trip to Vietnam, spent 3 weeks there, and I'm here to tell you guys what you guys need to know when going to Vietnam. So when going to Vietnam, one of the first things you're going to ask is how's the weather and the climate and how should I dress and all those kinds of things. And to start it off, Vietnam is hot. It's incredibly hot and humid there. Shorts, t-shirts, things like that are a must. You can wear pants and things like that as well. Just know that it's going to be very hot, especially in the summer months. If you're going on vacation in the summer, it's gonna be hot. You will, however, notice that a lot of people there do wear long sleeve shirts and long pants because they really don't like the sun over there, like the tan and things like that. So they often do wear long sleeves and long pants over there. However, they're more used to the weather, and if you're from a country that's not incredibly hot and humid, you may want to wear shorts. However, that being said, there are a lot of mosquitoes there as well, so if you're gonna wear shorts and things, do have some sort of mosquito repellent, because that will help a lot. One of the next things that you guys will notice is the driving over there is basically there are a lot of mopeds, motorcycles, and those kinds of things. There's not as many cars as you see in like the United States, for example. Driving is very chaotic there. If you do not know what it's like, I do not advise renting a car. I advise taking taxis around and using public transportation when you can. That being said, I'll explain why. There are basically no rules over there. There's very few traffic lights, and even when there are traffic lights, a lot of people like to go through reds anyway. Not like in the US when people go through reds. It's like red basically means go, and green means go, yellow means go, and they all mean go. It can get very chaotic. There's also lanes on the road, however, a lot of people don't like to follow them as motorcycles are small and can easily weave around other motorcycles. So basically people just kind of go where they can to get where they want to go. Also, people use their horns a lot over there. When they honk, when they drive, basically what that means is something of the nature of I'm trying to pass you, like going around you some way or another. I may be going, in the wrong direction lane. I may, whatever the heck you're trying to do, but they're going to try to pass you, so they're honking at you to let you know that they're going to try to pass in some way, form, or shape. And people basically do honk a lot over there. They also pass each other a lot. And it's a lot of chaos, but once you kind of go and you start to get used to it, it becomes a little more manageable and you start to understand kind of the flow of how things work over there, if there really is a flow. However, that brings us to the next point is how do you cross streets? There are very few traffic lights, which means very few areas where you actually have the right of way to cross, like with the little pedestrian sign that says you can cross now and cars stop. So crossing streets is basically you just kind of walking, and it's not like, this is hard to explain, but it's not like you stand there on the side of the road and you kind of wait till you see like no cars coming, because that doesn't happen, especially in the big cities. There's always cars because there's so many people there and they're all riding motorcycles and everyone is just kind of doing their own thing. So in order to cross a road, you basically just start walking, and you walk and people will actually, for the most part, go around you. So it's like a stream. If a stream of water is flowing and you put your finger in it at one end, the water goes around your finger. You can kind of see it like go around it, like kind of whoosh, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But, and as you move your finger across the stream, the water continues to go around it, but it kind of flows around your finger as your finger is moving. If that makes any sense, that's basically kind of what it's like. It's very chaotic and confusing. But if you don't freak out and start screaming like a madman and you're somewhat observant of what's going around you, you should be able to cross the streets fairly safely, even though it may not seem it the first few times. But just kind of go, get the flow of things, watch how other people are doing, and just try, if you can, follow some people or a group of people or something like that to try to cross streets, and hopefully you guys will be able to get that down pretty quickly, because if you don't cross any streets, you're going to be stuck a lot. because people don't drive very fast in the city, especially. So you should be okay. But one other thing to note in the cities especially is there is a lot of air pollution. You will see a lot of people wearing those face masks that you see a lot of Asian countries have, because the cities have a lot of pollution. They have a lot of pollution because of all the mopeds and motorcycles and the rate of which the population is growing, especially inside the cities. It's very, very crowded. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of cars. It's very, very polluted. So you will see a lot of people with the face mask. If you are concerned for your health and things like that, you can also wear them. It's not uncommon to see people wearing them or tourists wearing them, so you're not going to stick out like a sore thumb. However, at the same time, it's not going to kill you if you only go visit the city for several days and that kind of thing. So it's not the end of the world if you don't wear a face mask, but if you're concerned, then by all means, feel free to use one. So getting into restaurants and food. So first, in order to explain this well, you need to understand how people in the city live. A lot of people in the city live in these houses that are multi-floors. They look kind of like houses in New York, or apartments. The ones that they're basically all side by side, and they kind of go upward. They're not very wide like each floor, but they go up. And basically most people's houses are like 2 to 3 floors. They go up and people own the whole house. It's not, most of them aren't like apartments, they're like houses. But the bottom floor is basically used for business. And most families in the city all own a business, whether it be a restaurant, jewelry store, selling tourist gifts, and whatever you want it to be. Basically your business, it's basically the first floor, and usually they're all family run, and most families own one as far as I can tell. That being said, going into restaurants, there's not that many huge like restaurant style restaurants like you see in the States over there. Basically, when you go over there, the only big restaurants you're going to see are like the real big fancy ones or in malls, or like McDonald's and those kinds of fast food things. So as far as eating food goes, when you want your pho or your banh mi or whatever else, Vietnamese cuisine you're trying to look for, basically it helps to do your research in advance. Try to find good restaurants because they're all family run, and it's hard to tell just from looking from the outside which ones are good and which ones are not, because you can easily find a street with like 15 pho restaurants just straight up, and you won't know which one's good, which one's not, unless one of them's just like insanely packed or something. I don't know. It's a little hard to tell, so it's good to do your research ahead of time, try to find good ones, and then know where they are. Basically how those family restaurants work is most of them all specialize in mainly one thing. So if you walk into a Vietnamese pho restaurant that says like pho ba, which basically means pho with beef, and you walk in, you don't sit there and you order anything. Basically when they see you come in, they know that you want their specialty because they only really serve one thing. So you walk in, you sit down, and then you just wait a little bit, and they're going to bring you your bowl of pho or whatever else you're eating at whatever restaurant. So that's as far as I can tell. I did a lot of that, so that seems like the way it kind of works. You just walk into a restaurant of whatever you're trying to eat, and then they bring it to you. Some restaurants are bigger and they have menus and other things because some of them have more variety, but not all of them. And if you really want like the good stuff, the good banh mi's and the good pho and the good whatever else you're trying to eat, basically you're gonna want to go to one of those small house restaurants because they specialize in something, and when they specialize in it, they make it good. But you got to find the right ones still. Like, do your research. But when you find the right ones, they are incredibly, incredibly good. Like, the best pho I had in Vietnam was basically in those small restaurants. It wasn't in any of the big restaurants or the fancy ones, because I went to a bunch of those too. But those ones weren't as good as the local special house ones. And you got to know the local stuff. That's how you experience food and culture and everything. As far as communication and things go as well, if you have a phone that has a SIM card, you can go over there and you can buy your own SIM card and you can activate it, and then you can have calling features. And if you're traveling with family, friends, and stuff like that, by all means, all bring your phones, and you can get SIM cards there so that you guys can keep in contact with each other in case you guys get lost and whatever else happens over there. But it is useful. I did buy a SIM card. I had data and everything as well, so I was able to look things up on the go and look up restaurants and other places to go and Google Maps when I got lost and all that good stuff. So I do advise that. It's not too expensive. While we're talking about expenses, you should know the conversion rate. You should look into it ahead of time, and if you're from the States or something like that, you'll find out that basically your $1 is going to be worth a whole lot of monies in Vietnam. And you're going to be using numbers like, you're going to be spending things in like the thousands and millions. And you're going to have to be able to convert things pretty quickly. So at the time of this video, when I made this, the conversion rate is roughly about $1 is about 22,000 Vietnamese dollars, or I forgot what they're, doms. But basically, you're gonna be able. Basically, when you're walking into a store, you're gonna have to do some quick math sometimes. So just keep that in mind, or bring a phone as a calculator, because the money's gonna get really large. So while we're also on the topic of money, shopping. So when you go shopping, whether you go to the house business things that I explained before, or whether you go to a big shopping complex, they have a lot of these kind of like those flea market kind of things. But basically, you're going to be haggling a lot and bargaining. And I know that if you're from the States and from other countries that don't do this kind of thing, then it's going to be weird. And you're going to feel bad for seemingly trying to, get your best deal or rip them off in a sense and try to get whatever you can for as cheap as you can. Or you'll just be tempted to just buy it straight up for whatever price they tell you. But it is the kind of culture where you're going to have to haggle and that kind of thing. And people are, it's what happens over there. So try to push your luck and experiment around and try to see. Usually, if you find a store that's selling one thing, chances are if you walk like 15, 20 feet down, you'll find another store selling the same thing. And you'll find a lot of this kind of stuff. So basically, you can kind of just keep going around from store to store trying to get the best price until you find one that meets whatever price you're trying to get at. Or unless you're just lazy, just buy it straight up. I don't know. It's your money. But just letting you guys know that is a thing over there. It's a very hard thing to do. I was not good at bargaining, but just so you guys know. Also, people, for the most part, do speak English over there. It's not good. Like, not a lot of people speak it, and it's not fluent. You're not going to walk over there and be like, yo, sup, bro? But at the same time, it's not like nobody speaks it. But it is more rare. It's not like Korea, for example. If you go to Korea, a lot of people speak English there, and you can definitely survive on only English without knowing any Korean. Vietnam is a little harder, and I guess it's a little different for me because I know a bit of Vietnamese. So when I was over there, I was still able to understand things and talk with some people and that kind of stuff. But I do imagine that it's one of the harder countries to survive in only knowing English, unless you are in a very, very like touristy area with like big hotels and those kinds of things, because obviously those places speak English. But yeah, that is something to note if you're going to visit the countryside and some of the more non-urban areas. So lastly but not least, I guess one of the things I want to cover is just places to visit, and that's obviously what you guys are looking for. So places to visit in Vietnam, it's a very interesting country. It's still on the poorer side, so it's like you're not going to find a New York City in Vietnam, like some grand metropolitan city that's like huge with lots and lots and lots of activities and things going on. Basically, most of the cities are rather small, and most of the country, in my opinion, the beauty is in the nature and the scenery and the kinds of things that you can't really find in the States. I would advise, for the most part, you can visit some of the cities, and like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. One city in particular I would really advise you guys to visit is the city of Da Nang. And basically it's, I think, the most modern city in Vietnam. Maybe Ho Chi Minh City is, I'm not sure, but it seems to me like Da Nang is. I've visited both. But Da Nang is in the middle of Vietnam and it is full of amazing things as far as architecture and things to do. And um, these are some pictures of some of the things that I saw in Da Nang. There is the famous dragon bridge that breathes out fire, and there's lots and lots of lights everywhere. Bridges are lit, and the city is like a party. It's probably as close as you're gonna get to like New York, as far as I can tell. Actually, well, Ho Chi Minh City is pretty close too. Ho Chi Minh City is also really, really nice. There's lots of things to do there. It's not as fancy, but it is bigger than Da Nang, as far as I can tell. Don't quote me on that. However, one of the other places I would really advise you guys to visit is Halong Bay. And I would advise you guys to take a cruise around the bay because they will take you to places that you wouldn't be able to access normally. And you'll see amazing, amazing landscapes, and you'll see some amazing caves, and you'll get food and other things on the cruise. And that is probably the, I would say, the best thing that I did over there in Vietnam is went on this cruise, because it just really allows you to see so much and see all these amazing things. And that was probably the most fun thing, I would say. I think, I don't know, there were a lot of other nice places as well. I would also advise you guys to visit some of the caves that are around, and I forgot the name of the cave. I'll post, and there'll be a name here because I can't remember what it is, but the name. And basically, I would advise you guys to go to this cave. This cave is massive. It's, you take a boat tour through the cave at first, or part of it, and then they land and they let you walk the remainder of the cave, and you see some of these caverns and these other things in this cave, and they're massive. And for me, I love photography. I love like really like beautiful nature shots and those kinds of things. So basically seeing this kind of stuff is just like, it's mind boggling. It blows your mind how big these caves are, and it's amazing things to visit and see, and something you don't really see every day. So I definitely would advise visiting the cave systems there. There's lots and lots of caves all over Vietnam. There's some in Halong Bay if you're going to go visit that too. I would advise going to that bay just because it's beautiful. And then as far as cities go, I would advise you going to check out the city of Da Nang. And there's other beautiful cities as well. But aside from that, I hope that that answers a lot of questions. Oh, one more thing. Power outlets. So they in Vietnam they do use the two circular prong power outlets, similar to some European countries. So if you're from the United States or something like that, you will need an adapter, just so you know. And they do use a standard or the European standard of 220 volts. So that's just a heads up. So yeah. Aside from that, though, I hope that answers some questions on what to do, what to expect. And if you have any more questions, then please feel free to post them down below. I'll answer any questions that I can and help you out, and in hopes of you guys having the most awesome trip in Vietnam that you possibly can. And I hope you guys enjoy your time in Vietnam. And I will see you guys later.